Hi everyone, it's Miss Quick. So in this video, we're going to talk about 3-digit numbers minus 1-digit numbers with subtraction with borrowing. And we're going to talk about what you're supposed to do when there's a 0 in the tens place. Okay, so let's look at our first example. We are going to start by doing 502, see how there's a 0 in the tens place, minus 4. And see how I'm lining up that 4 in the ones place because it's just a 1-digit number. Okay, so we know we always start with the ones place. So I'm first going to figure out if I can do 2 take away 4. So I'm going to hold up 2 fingers and let's see if I can take away 4 from this. 1, 2. I have no more numbers to take away, so I cannot do 2 take away 4. That means I'm going to need to make my HTO chart off to the side, my hundreds, tens, and ones chart, so I can see what's happening when I borrow. So I'll make my hundreds, tens, and ones, and now I need to put the hundreds, tens, and ones at that top number, 502, onto my chart. So first, I'll figure out how many hundreds I have in 502. I have 5 hundreds because there is a 5 in the hundreds place. So I'm going to write that just like this: 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. Okay? I have no tens in my tens place because there is a 0 in the tens place. So I don't have any tens at all. So I'll just leave the tens place where it is. I'll leave it blank. In my ones place, I have 2 ones because 502. There are 2 ones in the ones place. So I'll show that by writing 2 ones just like this. Remember, the problem was that we didn't have enough ones to take away 4. We only had 2. We couldn't take away 4 ones. So we need more ones. But in the other videos, what we've always done is we've looked to the tens place to borrow a 10, to move a 10 over. But as you can see, there aren't any tens in the tens place. So what we need to do is we'll need to take from the hundreds place and we'll need to borrow from that place value. But we cannot jump place values. So we cannot take right from the hundreds and bring that all the way to the ones. Imagine writing 100 lines to show that I have 100 ones. That's why we're not going to do that. We're not going to take a 100 and bring it over to the ones and make 100 lines. That would take forever and that would not get us to the end result that we want, okay? So we need to take it from the hundreds, bring it to the tens, okay? That's our first step. We'll take from the hundreds and bring it to the tens. Because if I take 100 from the hundreds place and move it to the tens next door, we need to think, how many tens get me to 100? So we can use our fingers to figure that out. So let's count by tens and see how many tens get us to 100. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. That was 10 tens. So 10 tens give me 100. So that means if I'm taking 100 from the hundreds place, moving it to the tens, that means I need to break it up into 10 tens. And this is how I'm going to show that. So I circled that 100, showed it that I was bringing it over with my arrow. Now I can write 10 tens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't have enough room, so I'm just going to write them up here. 9, 10. Okay, and I can check to make sure that was 100 by just counting by tens again. So I'll just go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So 10 tens was 100. So I'll cross out that 100 because now I have brought it from the hundreds to the tens. Okay, even though we're trying to get more ones, always make sure if you ever move something from one place value to another, you need to stop where you are, go to your numbers, and show what you did on your numbers before you move forward. Okay, that's just to keep you more organized. So let's look at our hundreds chart right now. So how many hundreds do I have left after what I just did, after I borrowed 100? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hundreds are left. So I'm going to cross out the 5 and I'm going to turn it into a 4 because I have 4 hundreds. Remember, when we started, we had no tens at all. We had 0 tens. But then when we took 100 and brought it to the tens place, we now have 10 tens, okay? So that means I'm going to cross out this 0, and then I'm going to turn it into a 10 because now I have 10 tens, okay? But we still can't keep subtracting our numbers because we still have the problem with 2 take away 4 because that ones place is still a 2. So now that I have tens filled up in my tens place, I can now borrow those tens into my ones place. So I'll circle one of the tens, just like we're used to doing. I'll draw my arrow to the ones place. And whenever you take a 10 and move it to the ones place, remember, you're not just going to write 10, you're going to turn it into 1. So that would be 10 ones. Okay, so I'm going to show that like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm just going to cross that out because it's not there in the tens place anymore since I just moved it. Okay, now before we do anything else, we need to fix our numbers over here to show what we just did. Remember, I just took a 10 away, so we do need to change our tens again. I started with 10 tens, but I just took one away. Okay, so you can think of it like that. I started with 10 tens, and then I took one away, so now I have 9. And to check, I can just count how many tens I have in that column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now I'm actually going to cross out this 10 because I don't have that anymore. I have 9. Okay, only 9 tens. And now let's look at my ones place. Remember, we started with these 2 ones, and then we added a 10. So that means 2 plus 10 is 12, so I should have 12 ones now. So I'm going to cross out this 2, and I'm going to make it into a 12. Okay, now I finally have enough ones to take away 4. And the easiest way to subtract is to start with the lower number, count up to the bigger number, and then whatever the difference is will be your answer. So I'm going to start with 4, count up to 12. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So because I have 8 fingers up, that means 12 take away 4 is 8. So I'm going to write that number in my ones place below the line. Okay. Now I can just move over to the tens place. So I have 9 take away 0 because there are no other numbers here in the tens place. So I'll just do 9. Take away 0 is 9. So I'll write that in my tens place. Moving over to my hundreds place, I have 4 take away 0 because there's no other numbers here in the hundreds place. And 4 take away 0 is 4. So I'm going to write that in the hundreds place. So now we have our answer of 498. Okay, I'm going to delete this example now. I'm going to write an example down on my board right here so that you can see one. I'd like you to try it on your own. And then whenever you're ready, I would like you to play the video again. Well, I would first like you to pause the video. And whenever you're ready, I would like you to try 503 take away 8. Okay, go ahead and pause your video now and then try this example. Okay, hopefully you played the video again. So remember, the first thing we need to do is look at our ones place, and we need to figure out if we can do 3 take away 8. Always have to go from top to bottom. So let's put up 3 fingers, and let's see if we can take away 8. 1, 2, 3. I have no more numbers to take away from, so I cannot do 3 take away 8, which means we will need to borrow. So because we have a hundreds, tens, and ones place, we'll have to do our 3-column chart, hundreds, tens, and ones. Okay, we have to first figure out how many hundreds I have. Because there's a 5 in the hundreds place, I have 5 hundreds. So I'm going to write 500, so 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. I have no 10s, so I'm just going to leave that blank. I have no 10s since I have a 0. And I have 3 1s because there's a 3 in the ones place. So 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow. But remember, I can't borrow from the 10s yet because there's nothing there. So that means first thing I need to do, if there's a 0 in the 10s place, is I need to borrow from the hundreds place so that I can have some 10s there. So I'm going to circle one of my hundreds, show my arrow that I'm bringing it over to the 10s. And remember, 10 10s is 100. So I'm going to write 10 10s. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And I'm going to cross this out because I know it's not there anymore in the hundreds place. Okay. Now remember, before you do any more borrowing, so whenever you do any borrowing at all, you need to stop and show it on your numbers before you move forward. So let's now write how many hundreds I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 4 hundreds left, so I'm going to cross out the 5, make it a 4. Remember, I started with 0 10s, and then I took 100 and brought it to the 10s, so now I have 10 10s. So I'll cross out this 0, and I'll make it a 10. And now that I've shown what I have done on my chart, now I can borrow for the ones place. So I'll circle one of the 10s, show my arrow, and I'll turn that 10 into 10 ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll cross that out because I've already used it. I brought it over here to the ones. Now I'll show on my numbers what I just did. So we started with 10 10s, but now I just took one away. So now I have 9 10s. Okay, so I'm going to cross out this 10 now, and I'm going to make it a 9. And then for my ones place, remember that we started with these 3 ones right here, and then we added 10. So 3 plus 10 is 13. So I'm going to cross out the 3, write 13. And now I have enough ones to take away from. So remember, the easiest way to subtract, and we're always going to start with the ones place again, is we're going to put the lower number on our head, and we're going to count up to the bigger number, and the difference will be our answer. So we're going to put 8 on our head, count up to 13. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So because I have 5 fingers up, that means 13 minus 8, or 13 take away 8 is 5. So I'm going to write that number in my ones place. Now I can move to the tens place. So I'll do 9, take away 0. That's just 9. So I'll write that in my tens place. And then I can move to the hundreds place. So 4, take away 0 is just 4. So I'll write that in my hundreds place. And my answer should be 495.